Brought to you in association with Grendel Press. This is Werewolf the Podcast, a serial killer drama.
The demon for Giselanois Trudeau. A sudden flash of fire and a very angry Lucifer morning star appears in her office, stamping her Louis Vuitton into the carpet tiles. She is, let's say, on the edge of destroying everything she can, and to be honest, that could be almost everything. She's a pretty powerful entity that is at the top of her profession and pretty in many ways. She's one woman who the glass ceiling of white male privilege has not stopped. There again, she's not a woman. In this case, she looks like one, but that's because that's how I see her. Oh, don't get me wrong, God is a male. Sorry. I know feminists will be upset by this, and you woke folk, that I am genderizing the Christian God, but he identifies as a he and has a thingy down there in his pants. I know having a thingy these days does not mean that you're not a woman, but it helps identify you as a man in the majority of cases. So he is a he in everyone's eyes, whether you're a conservative believer or a progressive non-believer, or any mixture, or at any point in between. So one could say that she has hit the glass ceiling that would make her God, and that we would think that the devil is, therefore, subordinate to him. But Lucy loves her role so much that she wouldn't take the big man's job if offered. She's not stupid. Being in her position is so much more fun and fulfilling. Being God must be so dull. Everyone praying to you and asking you for things. At least if they pray to her, they become prey to her. She can make a sweet deal for their soul. He can't do that, can he? The souls might still do something as infragrant or as flagrant as sin. I am Satan's secretary, a demon and the most hard-working being of all the levels. Oh, you may say differently if you see my daily schedule. But the truth is, I hold this place and this devil together. Behind every queen of hell is their demonic cat. Without my grounding and calming nature, she would have done something dangerous. Oh, and when I say dangerous, I mean like possible end of the world, universe. Not sure what it would be, but it would be a bad ending. As she arrives, the place changes. I mean her office. What was once a bright and glass-surrounded penthouse suite in the sky at the top of a high building in Manhattan has turned into, well, an office. Not just an office, though. It's a tiny, horrible office with formica furniture from the 70s. The stench of cigarettes is in the air, and the room itself is made a lot smaller by the filing cabinets that line the walls. They are those horrible gray filing cabinets that take off your fingers if they get a chance. These particular cabinets, because it's hell, these things want your fingers and soul if they get a chance. I have gone from a Georges and Mugorotsky libertine sofa, the creme de la creme of the sofa world. Hey, what can I tell you? Demons have interests outside the daily grind of torturing and tempting. I mean, for me, Georges and Mugorotsky is a little crass for my taste, but to lick your on a sofa like that is life-changing. Listen to me, life-changing. For that, you need a soul, and as we all know, I ain't got one of those. Where was I? Ah, that's right. I've left the luxury couch and am now sitting on the collapsed foam of a ripped cushion on the top of a steel-framed chair. The static from the nylon does awful things to my luxurious coat. I might have to go to HR about this downgrade. Anyways, that's my bit of this narration done. I had to have a bit myself. I'm in the next part of this story, but if I had not spoken now, you would not have got to hear my dulcet tones as much as you deserve to. Are you still there? Go away now. I'm busy. Lucifer. I flash into my office. No, this is not my... Oh, I must be in one hell of a mood. That makes me smile for a moment. You know, you saw it, the pun. One hell of a mood. My secretary, Forgesalanois Trudeau, sits uncomfortably on a steel chair with a ripped nylon seat cushion. Her eyes have a tale to tell. Her tale's sinusoidal state tells me she's not happy. The little black cat is not happy. See, humans, I gesticulate, opening my arms to the little cat, who for once is quiet and paying me attention, which is a little strange, but okay, I will go with it. After my dramatic pause, I continue. See these humans? I wait for a reply. I get a yellow-eyed stare. So I keep going. Well, I suppose he isn't human. He is a werewolf, I say, passing my hands through my hair and noticing it's in excellent condition at the moment. See this werewolf? He's predictable, and that makes this so difficult. How am I supposed to commit my plans when I can't change his damn behaviour? If anyone can change a damn behaviour, it should be me. I need these two to get back together and work together. But they just don't want to. You know, have... What is it the young demons say? A meat? I think you mean a beef, says the little cat. Weird how language changes, eh? Where did they get beef from as an argument? I ask a rhetorical question as I look at the small yellow-eyed venomous demon. It stems from Cockney rhyming slang. Hot beef, which sounds like stop thief, would be shouted in the poor parts of London as people wanted to deal with the crime themselves and not involve the participation of the peelers. Of course, when I say the peelers, I refer to the newly administered police force. My stare stopped her. You did ask, she said as she returned to washing her paws. There has to be a way. There has to be. I would have paced back and forth, but because of the size and clutter in the room, that would have meant that I would have just been jogging on the spot. So, I stood for some time, my impressive intelligence not finding any answers to bring them back together. Force them, says the little cat, looking up. You don't force these people, I reply. They do not do being forced, I continue. You don't have to force them to do it, says the cat. In response, I turn and look at her. She stops her grooming and looks up at me. It would help if you got them together in an environment that will force them to work together to win. What would that be then? I ask her. How about the game show?
Come on. Who's up next? Who's up next for the next bit? Jesus, you lot, it's like fucking amateur hour around here. Can you just be ready when it's your... What do you... It's my go. I mean, obviously I didn't mean that about amateur hour. Sorry about that. A random narrator in the magma chamber of Mauna Loa on the island of Hawaii lives... It doesn't sound right when I say lives, does it? Because that always makes me wonder if it really is the case. You know, does it live? I mean, what does that even mean, right? I know I talk about it quite a lot, but does an immortal being live? Or does it simply exist? I know it's silly of me to ask you, really, because you can't really answer, can you? Ooh, what's that? Sorry, just excuse me for a minute, listeners. Oh, that's right. You can pass on comments on this if you listen to us on Spotify, or if you get us on X or Instagram or the Facebook group or the Tuber View. Check the description below for links. You could give me an idea if an immortal being does live. Do immortal lives matter? That's an important question. Well, is on this podcast anyway. Right, so, in the magma chamber of this giant active volcano, the Gormant lives. We've met this fine fellow before. He was in episode 142, A Party with the Fairy Folk in Phaeton. Yeah, that's the one. It turned out that when not in its big batty form, this Gormant was none other than Noel Edmonds. And for those of you that don't know who Noel Edmonds is, well, you can't be from the United Kingdom. But if that is you, just Google him. It's so easy. Anyway, it shocked me too, to be honest. The Gormant has two things to do. He is the basis and the fury that besets a volcanic eruption, and he is the beast that, when angered, makes the lava flow. He basically pops the zits that cover our young planet's surface. It doesn't sound so cool when you say it like that, does it? Unless you're one of those strange people who, really loves to pop other people's zits. You know who you are. Yeah. The Gormant is more like the Balrog in Lord of the Rings than the Balrog in Lord of the Rings is, if you know what I mean. Not the one in the Rings of Power. That CGI was nowhere near as impressive for some reason. The filmmakers, and Tolkien for that matter, only got it wrong in one way. The Gormant does not have a whip or a weapon. He doesn't need them. He gouts boiling liquid rock when provoked from his mouth. If you don't know better, let's say that hot, sticky liquid rock would hurt you a lot. Actually, hurt's the wrong word. You would be incinerated instantly. I'd like to see him do the Pepper X challenge. That's the world's hottest chili pepper, with an average heat rating of 2,693,000 Scoville heat units. That's SHUs. I think he'd win. He is 60 feet tall in his monstrous form. He's made from shadow and flame. He is made of energy, not matter. Not that that matters, though, as he uses a lot of energy to control matter, and, that's what matters, isn't it? The Gormant is doing what the Gormant does. He is preparing for the weekly game show he presents on Hell's one channel, cunningly called HBC. Cunning, that, eh? No, it doesn't stand for something as simple as Hell's Broadcasting Corporation. No, that would be far too easy or far too normal. It stands for hatred, bigotry, and Colin. Yes, Colin. It is, after all, one hell of a name. Back to the Gormant, which was the point, and his game show. Hey, everyone has to have a hobby, and this was the Gormant's. Wow, spellcheck seems to want to change the word Gormants to the word Germans. That's weird. But maybe it's not. Maybe there's a link there. The game show is the favourite of the demons that exist in hell, and is the one break the tormented souls of the aforementioned place have from the torment exerted on them for all time. It's viewed by billions of the lost, which outstrips any of the nonsense out there in the media of the human plane, except maybe the viewership of Mr. Beast. I could tell you a lot about Mr. Beast, but let's just look at his YouTube channel name, Mr. Beast. I probably don't need to go into any details about his supernatural background. He basically gives it all away at the start. Now, you may have thought that the game show would have some fantastic name like The Degeneration Game, The Worst Cursed, The Hated 100, or Sold Out, or as a homage to Deal or No Deal, the Gormant's last earthly game show, Hell or No Hell. But no, this game show was called It's Called the Game Show because demons are not that imaginative. No, not just the game show, but the whole bloody thing. It's called the game show because demons are not that imaginative. It was pretty clever, actually, how this game show, It's Called the Game Show because demons are not that imaginative, came about. Lucifer worked out that if she could keep the Gormant busy, he wouldn't do so much, damned erupting. She'd got fed up with his eruptions as the population grew over the centuries. In the good old days, when humans existed in the hundreds of thousands or even a few million, large-scale disasters would kill only a few. These days, because there are billions of people, it could mean a very hectic day in hell and a hell of a lot of paperwork to boot. Not good. Also, quite aside from all that paperwork, the people who survived the eruption would be friendly to each other. It's a little-known fact that human nature changes for a while after a major natural disaster. They start to, help each other and become altruistic. Don't get me wrong, it soon turns back to the irritable dislike of one another, but for a short while, love really is in the air. Relief releases oxytocin and serotonin, and the public act like a bunch of ravers who meet their forever friends at a rave every single time. Except every time, it's different friends. You know what I mean, especially if you were there in the 90s. Right, kids? Also, the survivors are often thankful to be alive. And who do they thank? Yeah, you got it. God. Him upstairs. No, they don't blame him for the volcanic explosion. They blame Lucy, and they thank him for their survival. It's not that they turn to God, it's the fact that they don't blame him for the eruption that annoys her. I get her annoyance. I really do. It must be properly annoying. The second reason for keeping the Gormant busy is the supervolcano that sits under Yellowstone National Park in America. It's a little-known fact. It's overdue for an eruption. Shh. I hope you heard that. I had to whisper, because if the Gormant hears me, there'll be hell to pay. Literally. Now, this eruption, it's not a little pop like Vesuvius or Mauna Loa. I know. They don't seem like little pops to you, but these eruptions are tiny compared to the beast below Yellowstone. Vesuvius's caldera, the bit where the lava comes out, is 450 meters. That's 1,475 feet in diameter. Sounds big, right? And it is. I mean, it would cause a lot of problems if it goes pop again. But are you ready for this? Yellowstone's caldera, the bit where the lava comes out, has an average diameter of 35.5 miles, 57 kilometers, which means that the caldera, the bit where the lava comes out, is 35 times larger than Vesuvius's. Sorry about that. The word Vesuvius is hard to stop saying. So, with this gain of knowledge, see, we're an educational podcast as well as everything else. That alone makes us worth a follow, if you ask me. You can see why the devil's worried about Yellowstone, though, right? When it goes bang, It's going to be what the scientists call an extinction-level disaster. Oh, just for the record, extinction doesn't bother her, not one little bit. What bothers her is massive queues of dead people at the check-in desks of hell, and a kind of backlog that can't be shifted with laxatives. She can't be arsed with all that, can she? She's the devil. She's got a realm to run. So, you can see, her getting the Gormant into presenting a TV show has taken away quite a threat to her peaceful, lazy days. She was very clever with this. He'd done his apprenticeship down on Earth. She knew this was the only place where she could train him to be happy with the utterly meaningless nature of a game show. Why do we like them? Who knows? Whilst there, he took the form of the human being Noel Edmonds. We talked about him in the prior episode I mentioned. Well, in his true form, he wouldn't have been as lovable or accepted by those working with him or the audience. Your tastes have to be a little bit on the extreme side to love a Gormant. No, I'm not being judgy. Actually, I take that back. Yes, I am. These days on HBC, he still presents in his human form and is a much beloved favourite of the demons and damned that watch his programme. And now I've cleared all that up, we can go back to Lucifer to complete this wonderful, if slightly mental episode.
Lucifer. Ping! I appear in the magma chamber of the Gormant's home. He's not done much with it. It's just superheated rock from wall to wall. I like it.
What do you want, little angel?
It asks. I smile at this. It is trying to belittle me, honestly. It's one of the few things that can do that. He is even beyond my scope. I can't hurt him. It is just made of energy. He is made of the Earth's energy itself. I can't stop the pressure of gravity, causing heating and magma. Well, that's not true. I could. But then, I think the Earth would fall apart, meaning there would be nothing to do. The Gormant would be gone, though. An enormous black bull-like head swings towards me and hooved legs turn the creature. Wings open behind it, touching the walls of the chamber. Gulp? I gulp. Well, you don't say gulp, do you? You do it, then. I need a favour for which I will offer you a strike against fate, I tell the beast. It scratches its head in consideration. Flakes of fire fall from that gigantic chin.
Show me.
I raise my hand to him. I open my fingers to reveal the die. He doesn't need to recognise the object. He just needs to feel what it represents. Laughter echoes around the chamber.
A mighty awful little angel,
He says. I instantly grow 70 feet, so I'm a head taller than him in the chamber now. I know it's a silly thing to do, but being patronised is not on my list of things I enjoy. The thing laughs again.
A show of power, fallen one.
He chuckles.
You offer me much. You offer me the opportunity to change fate when I wish.
I nod. He knows what this means. I need 2 beings that are irritating me on your show. Oh, don't get me wrong. If you get them on together, it will be one hell of a show. These 2 are immortal and powerful and want to kill each other, so it will be an audience pleaser. Again, the blazing shadow scratches its chin and looks at me with fiery eyes. It nods. I shrink back to my usual size. A hand twice my size with 8 fingers tipped with red-hot iron claws reaches at me. It does feel like at and not towards me. Maybe that's a little of my paranoia shining through. It stops a few feet away, and the die is removed from my palm delicately by the pincer action of 2 tips of those terrifying talons.
Be gone.
He dismisses me. I flash from his home.
How do? It's me, Bosworth, the lovable Yorkshire djinn. The bar's been quite quiet recently. Loads of important stuff has been going on, you see, on all planes of existence. I don't mind it being quiet, to be honest. It sort of lets me gather me thoughts. Lets me relax a little, like. And then...
Hello, Bozzy.
She looks right gradely, she does. A dark-skinned beauty enters bar, all shifting silken like promise of sin. She smells like heated stone and desert winds, and I hear vultures cry in me mind. Oh, bloody hell, what does she want then? How are you, Lucy? I reply as I acknowledge her. How you doing, and how can I help you today? I know this isn't a social visit. You don't do that social visit kind of thing, do you? So what do you want? Let me guess. Another bloody wish.
I need a wish. But I also don't need the recipients of that wish to know who gave it to them.
She tells me. I'll laugh and smile. Of course. The great deceiver would want that, wouldn't she? No wishes, I'm afraid, Lucy. I then turn me back to her. She's suddenly standing in front of me on the other side of the bar. The bangles threaded on her wrists play like little chimes, making me feel buzz along the spine. I no longer have, to be honest. Deep, hazel eyes look into me. Well, me hood. Patchouli and fresh sweat give me like a heady high, you know, like light perspiration after you've just had... Oh, it fills me non-existent nostrils. She lifts her fist and draws me attention to it by moving her eyes. I look. What else is there to do? She opens her perfectly manicured, ring-covered hands and reveals the die within. I gasp. It can't be. It's one of fate's dice. A die of fate. A way to change fate. Even I can't do that. Any wish or action I undertake is fated. I know it's complicated, but this is like a wish for a djinn. This die is a wish for a djinn. What does the wish, love? I say in response. She smiles.
Well, all I need you to do is get Will and the Professor in hell at the same time. I need them to be friends. I would wish them to be friends, or I would change fate, but I know that bastard Gabriel would tell them. Then there would be heaven to pay. He's a little snitch like that. But if it came about through sneakier means by others while I have an alibi of sorts, well, good old Goldie Wings would not guess, would he? He's not the brightest.
Aye, well, it might be possible, like. Where do you want them to go?
The Gormant's game show.
She tells me. Do you think that's bloody wise? I mean, you know.
Probably not, but it will be so much fun.
Brought to you in association with Grendel Press. This is Werewolf the Podcast, a serial killer drama.